Yes, you are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103 WYAB. We're streaming on Rumble. We're streaming on X. We're streaming on YouTube. And we're streaming at WYAB.com. So if you can't get the radio signal, you can always pick us up online. And we appreciate that. If you would, please give me a follow on X. It's just Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. If you want to be part of the program today, we'd love to have you. The number is 601 879 0002. And the text line is open 601 879 5060. And the mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show, it's standard. We are here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? Y'all are the saints. And look, there's a lot of good news going on. And we're just going to keep a positive attitude on the show today as much as we can. There's some bad stuff we got to talk about, but we got 2 hours to do it. And I am joined in the studio by my man, Blake Bartlam. Blake, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you doing?
Dude, I am doing great. And where I want to start today is we got to talk about the GDP in America. It is absolutely going ballistic. It was way above what people thought it was going to be. I believe it was 4.3%. Is that what you got?
Yes, sir.
And it's being covered all over the place. This is from CNBC. The U.S. economy grows by 4.3% in the third quarter, much more than expected, delayed report shows. And I think the reason that the report was delayed, because there are people talking about that, but the government was shut down.
Yeah.
So it is going to be a little bit late, but the numbers are absolutely awesome. And Blake, what do you think about?
I think it's great. I think it shows that President Trump's policies and his tariffs, I think they're doing what they were meant to do, because the main things that drove the GDP to go up 4.3% above the 3% expected was exports increased by 8.8%, while imports and our trade deficit went down. And then you also had consumer spending increase dramatically as well. And that shows that people are spending more and we are producing more as a nation. So that means that our manufacturing is stronger.
Wait, you mean to tell me that the tariffs didn't actually hurt? They actually helped? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I know. Crazy.
Amazing.
Who could have seen that coming?
Who would have thought that the United States of America could be producing like we are? And I always like to tell people, onshoring jobs from overseas, bringing those jobs that were in China or Taiwan or wherever and bringing them back to the United States is absolutely huge.
Absolutely.
The two top states are Texas and South Carolina. Do you know who 3 is? Mississippi. 12,800 new jobs in Mississippi from bringing those jobs from overseas back to the United States and Mississippi.
And they just announced yesterday, I think it was $100 million for some bio manufacturing plant in North Mississippi, and then I think $75 million for something else as well. I think in I want to say Central Mississippi somewhere.
Yep. I keep on seeing these reports come through every other day or so. Governor Reeves is talking about economic development. And I want to be clear about something. I don't mind the economic development when you're improving infrastructure. I don't like the economic development where we're paying people to go do stuff that they already would have done.
Yeah, exactly.
So you always want to sit there and have a little bit of a watchful eye on it, because you don't want to end up paying somebody out of pocket.
And that's the difference, because people have been talking, the job market, unemployment's gone up. The reason unemployment has gone up is, for one, more people have entered the labor force and they're actually looking for work.
Yep.
It tends to happen when you make benefits go down and have work requirements.
Yeah.
And secondly, the federal government has never lost this many jobs before. And then once October hit, that's when all of the government layoffs from Doge in February and March finally kicked in.
Yep.
Because the 6-month contract was up. So that's why you saw unemployment numbers go up, is because the federal government is losing useless jobs that are not necessary. And all job creation you've seen has gone to the private companies.
Yep.
And then they've gone to Americans and not illegal immigrants.
The private,
absolutely huge.
Private sector job growth accounts for 100% of the jobs gained in the United States, and the majority of all jobs lost has been from the U.S. government.
Yep.
So it's win-win. We're shifting the burden from the government to the private sector, which is what it should be. This is how it's supposed to work. and people are sitting there who are doom and gloomers. That I like to call them doom scrolling, where they just sit there, look
the panicans.
The panicans. There you go. We've got to pay attention to this, ladies and gentlemen. We have to be very vigilant on what our government's doing. And today there's lots of good news, but if it goes down in the South and there's bad news to report, we got to do that too. And I think that's why people enjoy the show so much, is because they know when there's good news, we're going to say it, but when there's not, hey, we're going to move on. Do you got anything else on the GDP growth or anything like that?
I just think it's great. And I think especially once we get into 2026 and the tax cuts really start to take effect, and you have all of this manufacturing that's been promised that starts to have production and construction, I think the economy is really going to be taking off by the time the midterms roll around.
I agree completely. And people are like, you're just being too positive, Andy. Well, no, actually, if you look at the numbers, we're panning out the right way. And there's always a lag from when the bill gets passed in the Congress and signed by the president. Before.
Absolutely.
So people are like, oh, the big, beautiful bill didn't do anything for me. Well, go tell those 1.6 million service members who are going to get that 1776 bonus, I guess you would call it. But, and I'm always for that. But I'm really excited for the lower enlisted that's really going to make a big difference.
Absolutely.
And then the other good news I wanted to talk about, and I didn't pull up the story for this, but I'm just coming off the top of my head. We're offering illegal immigrants an extra flight home.
Yeah.
And they bumped it up for 8 days, so now only 7 days. But I think they're paying them $3,000 plus an airline ticket.
People are always talking, oh, it's so inhumane, and they're just locking these people up and raiding. They're literally paying you to go back home.
Yep.
And leave the country. You're not supposed to be here. If you really want to come here that bad, do it the right way.
Yep.
It's as simple as that.
And you think about how far $3,000 will get you in a third world nation.
Huge.
That's like annual salaries in some places.
Yeah.
So, if you got mom, dad, and 2 kids, that's $12,000.
So that's a great investment for America, because for one, you save the money that you would have to spend on arresting them, detaining them, and then eventually deporting them on your own. But it's also an investment because, like you said, they can invest that money back into their home countries, which in turn makes people not want to come to the U.S.
Yep.
And it makes our hemisphere stronger. So it's just the Trump administration knows what they're doing. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. I think the administration has got a game plan. Obviously, Trump is leading the way, but you've got to understand that it's the people that you put below.
Yep.
And, we've got some great people doing stuff, and there's a couple people she's not doing what she needs to do. There's so much.
Say her name. What we're talking about.
Yep. And I've been one of these people who say, got to give her time. Got to give her time. Well, there's been enough time.
She's had enough time.
And this is just my opinion. And I've talked to a few of my lawyer friends, and everybody seems to agree that there's enough evidence that's been found to definitely start dropping some indictments.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I've got a couple people say, well, I want my pound of flesh. I want my pound of flesh. I'm like, be patient, be patient. Well, when those Epstein files dropped, that just set off this firestorm. And I don't think that administration, the DOJ, knows how to actually go after this and prosecute. And what I would say is, if we would have had Matt Gaetz in there,
down. But the rhinos in the Senate knew that if Matt Gaetz was in there, their little game was up. Because John Brennan, James Comey, Letitia James, all these people, they would already be in prison.
Yeah, I don't know if they'd be in prison, but I know that they'd be indicted.
They'd certainly be indicted and have probably a case going.
Yeah, I think we'd be going to court. The thing is when you go and indict these people, the lawyers go in there, and the first thing they do is they start delay. So it'd probably be a little bit before you actually got into the courtroom. But
I would have a lot more faith in the prosecutors at the DOJ if Matt Gaetz was running the show.
Discovery can take a long time, but once it gets going,
we've done a whole lot of discovery. I mean, I think it was last night I saw something where John Brennan and his lawyers had confirmed that he was the target of an investigation revolving around Crossfire Hurricane and everything that went on there with the Trump admin one. back when Obama had the whole conspiracy. So the point that I'm making is that there is evidence out there, and it's just time for us to act on it, and we need to.
Yep. I completely agree. More good news, Brother Blake. More good news. Trump halts wind projects, including coastal Virginia offshore wind. Dominion stock drops by 4%. And, windmills on land break down all the time.
Yeah.
And they're still a pain in the neck to service and fix and repair.
What's in the water?
Now you're going to do that in the Atlantic Ocean? No. The corrosion alone, and people are like, the Netherlands do it, these other countries do it. Well, we're not them.
No.
And they don't have hurricanes raging up and down their coast. So this is a good deal.
We'll say this, though, there hasn't been a single hurricane in the Gulf of America.
Yeah, no,
they've stayed out of the Gulf of America since they renamed it.
I wonder if Trump's got like some magical force field out there, like
Something
a golden
like
dome
that,
out
right?
there.
Exactly.
But I think it's great. And I can remember when I was living in Virginia Beach, Dominion Energy, man, they were price gouging.
Do they have any connection to Dominion voting?
No.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
No. But Dominion, they call, because Virginia is the old Dominion.
Yeah, old Dominion. Yeah.
So that's where that comes into. But it was pretty good. The Trump administration on Monday halted the coastal Virginia offshore wind, the largest project of its kind in the U.S., as well as 4 other projects under construction in the East Coast, in a devastating blow to the wind industry. And you know what? Some industries come and they go up, down. And they say that it would have powered 600,000 homes. I really want to see that.
Yeah.
Because I have a really hard time believing that.
Well, it takes so long for the windmills to produce enough energy to make up for how much energy it costs to make them in the first place.
Yep. 176 turbine wind turbines powering 600, according to Dominion. I don't know what the math is on that, but
can't imagine it's very good.
That's I think completely overstating what the power of the wind will actually do. And now they're saying that energy prices are going to go up, and I'm like, no. The prices are going to go up because of all the demand for power by the data centers and AI. It's not going to go up because we're not doing some wind.
And then we also, the Trump admin has focused recently in the last couple of weeks specifically on getting nuclear energy back up and running again.
Have you heard of Valor Nuclear Power?
The name sounds familiar.
The guy's name, I can't remember off the top of my head, but he was on a 2.5-hour special with Sean Ryan.
Oh, wow.
And they have 25 megawatt reactor that will actually fit inside the back of a semi truck.
I have seen stuff like that where the reactors can be that small.
And not only that, but you can daisy chain them. So if you buy 10 of these things, you're going to have 250 megawatts of power, nuclear power. Wow. And here's the thing, there's no risk of radiation.
Yeah.
Because they're using a very low isotope, and it's actually completely encased in concrete.
Mm-hmm.
And they've done all these tests where they like crashed into them and tried to. It's so economical, and the first one will be in operation this year. And if things go right, they're going to be able to produce 3 to 4 a year, and then scale up from that.
Yeah.
So,
nuclear energy is the future. I'll die on that hill.
Yep. I agree with you. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. I'm here with Blake Bartlam. We'll be right back. Yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show. I'm here with Brother Blake Bartlum. How you doing, man?
Still doing good.
Still
Ready to
doing
keep
good.
rolling, man.
I forgot to ask you, where can people find you?
They can find me at B Bartlam on X, and then Blake Bartlam, so BlakeBartlam on TikTok. You can probably search that into Twitter as well, and you'll find it. And then Instagram and Facebook as well.
There you go. If you're not following Blake, you need to be. Go ahead and hit him up on X and those other places as well. This is an interesting read. This is coming from Mediaite. Longtime Trump pollster reveals ugly forecast for Republicans heading into 2026. President Trump's go-to pollster released a new poll that shows Republicans are trending towards getting smacked in the 2026 midterms. And the thing that I want to say here is that right now they were up 22 points in October when the shutdown fight was going on. Now they're up 7. So that's the good news.
Yeah.
The bad news is that if Republicans don't start messaging the way that we need to message, we will get shellacked.
Yeah.
But if we go out and do the things we need to do, things like urge Republicans to protect kids by backing AI regulations, a move that would win big support among parents, the firm said. Republicans have a choice. They can take advantage of a strong desire among the electorate for the federal government to protect kids and empower parents from AI harms and gain needed electoral support, or they can take the minority view, arguing by state regulations, the firm said. So
Trump wants to have it federally, and that's what they did. Melania, this was Melania's big thing, was the I can't remember like the specific name for it. It's like the Protect Kids Act or something, but the specific targets was to make sure that you can't do these deep fake AIs and that it protects children and stuff like that.
And we were talking about last Friday on the show, places in New York where they're banning cell phones during school.
Yeah.
This is part of that plan where you can go in there and start getting kids off their anxiety devices like this one right here. and you can go ahead and actually have conversations, and that socialization is really critical. It wraps up here by supporting these policies discussed above to protect kids and empower parents. Republicans have the opportunity to lift their ballot support significantly, turning a 7-point deficit into a 13-point advantage or a 20-point swing. So the roadmap is out there on what we need to do.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, we just had this thing. Did you watch any of AmFest?
I watched a little bit of it. I was pretty busy this last week or whatever, but I saw enough to have some ideas about it.
Before I give my opinion, I want to hear what your opinion is of it.
Well, we've had the conservative movement since Charlie Kirk was killed has been honestly a mess online. You've had people that are trying to jump in and take their chunk out of the Turning Point Coalition. You've had people that have, they're grifters. But then you've had people that have actually stepped up and have tried to make the best of a horrible situation.
I agree.
But you had people like Steve Bannon, Ben Shapiro, who else? Tucker Carlson, that all just spent the whole time like fighting with one another over Israel still.
Yep.
Like, why are the American people do not want to hear? They don't care. What they care about is feeding their kids, making sure that they can keep paying their mortgage, and that they can just live a comfortable life.
Yep.
Where no one's trying to interfere with their kids. This infighting has to stop, because you're talking about, this is the biggest conservative like convention in the world, essentially, especially in America. And this is the one right before the midterm elections, leading into the midterms, leading into the primaries that start in March in Texas and Mississippi. And then you have, July and everything from there. This was an opportunity where you could have coalesced the base, brought it together, and motivated it to go out and win in 2026. And instead, you spent the whole time fighting over this issue that really only like 5% of the base is super loud about online.
Yep. I'm of the opinion that people like Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, people like they're nutters, man.
Yeah.
They're just out there. And I'm not one to use ad hominem attack, but they're literally crazy with some of the stuff they're doing. And I'm just not for it. And like you said, Blake, I want to make sure that we're all singing from the same sheet of music, that we're all pushing the ball down the field, and we're trying to make sure that we have the best opportunity to retain the House. the Senate's still looking really good for Republicans. We
Yeah.
might actually pick up 1 or 2 more seats, which
Yeah.
would be really fantastic. And I was saying, and we haven't talked about this yet, but we will talk about Georgia and the mess that is over there. But you think about how the Republicans had 3 elections stolen from them.
Yeah.
In 2024. You had the Nevada Senate
Mhm.
seat, Kerry Lake in Arizona,
Yeah.
and the dude from Wisconsin. If we would have
Yeah.
had those seats, I think it'd be a lot different than
I
it is
agree.
right now.
But it really, because I can't get past the fact that you had this major opportunity on the world stage of conservatism
Yep.
and the movement or whatever. Motivate these people to get out and vote.
Yep.
Don't stop fighting over this issue that is really not as important as you make it out to seem.
Yep.
And they're the same people that Trump needs to stop focusing on foreign policy, but they haven't shut up about foreign policy in the last 5 years.
Nope.
And it's so frustrating because they've tried attacking President Trump from the moderate position
Mhm.
with Liz Cheney, Adam Kissinger, and all these
Yep.
people. Now they're going to try to attack it from the right with Thomas Massie, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene last night went on a whole rant about how President Trump shouldn't attack Venezuela, and Venezuela is a Catholic nation who hasn't done anything wrong.
Has she gone to any of the funerals where kids have died from
No, I don't
overdosing
think
on
so.
fentanyl?
I mean, in her
I-
own state.
Yeah, I don't know if she has or not, but I know I have 2 friends, different families where they've lost kids to
Mhm.
fentanyl.
Yeah.
And it's a real big problem. But there is some good news coming out of AmFest. Vice President J.D. Vance wins Turning Point USA straw poll for 2028 GOP presidential nominee. And this is coming from the Gateway Pundit. And the long story short is that the producer of the Charlie Kirk Show, Blake Neff, released the poll results on X, which showed J.D. Vance received 84.2% of the vote. 84.2% of the people.
That's for reference, that's higher than Trump was in 2023.
Yep. And coming out a distant second was Marco Rubio, followed by Ron DeSantis.
Gosh, what a joke.
You know what? I think Ron DeSantis is a great governor.
He's a great governor.
But I just and I like what he says and does, but when it comes to national, I just don't think he's got the
Agree, 100%.
the gravitas there. Coming out was a distant second was Marco Rubio. Did you see where Marco Rubio said that if J.D. Vance runs for,
He's not going. Marco Rubio is not going to challenge him.
Nope.
And that's great because J.D. Vance is I think he is the future of the movement because the way that he connects with the base is unlike. It's different than anything we've ever seen, in my opinion. So
Yep.
his Twitter account is probably one of the funniest Twitter accounts that is out there. He has no problem making fun of himself, and he can relate to people because he came from that background. He came from a single mom who was a drug abuser.
Yep.
Like he was a Marine. He was a small business owner. He can relate to the American people because he was the American people.
Yep.
And I think that's very important. But I think what that also shows is that despite all of the infighting and the bickering over all this crap, is it shows that they're just a loud minority.
Yep.
They talk a lot, but there's not a lot of them.
All sizzle, no steak.
Exactly. So don't get distracted by this. Instead, do what J.D. Vance did, where he stepped out on stage, prime time. He could have made all the fuss in the world about whatever he wanted to, but instead he stayed on message. He put out that President Trump's agenda will win, and we just have to get out and vote in 2026 so that we can make that happen, and so that we retain the House, get even more in the Senate, so that come 2028, we'll have eight more years.
That would be fantastic if that happened. I'm happy to see that J.D. Vance was like, your kid is throwing a temper tantrum at the grocery store. Instead of sitting there making a fuss out of it, he just steps over the kid. The kid's sitting there making this fuss, and no one's going to pay attention to him in the end. So I find that really heartening. Lots of good news coming out there. We're going to take a commercial break. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. I am with Blake Bartlam. We will be right back. Oh, yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We were talked about a little bit in the last segment, but we got to talk about Georgia. This is coming from the Washington Stand. 315,000 Georgia votes lacked certifying signatures in 2020 election, records show. How many of us were banned from Twitter because we were talking about fraud in the election?
I know one person who was. His name is. He was currently in the White House right now.
President Trump was. How about what Facebook did?
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, all these big tech firms. There's a reason why places like Rumble and Truth Social are big as they are. It's because of things like this. Now, if these 315,000 votes would have at least been challenged, I'm not saying kick them out, but challenged. Joe Biden won Georgia by what, 20,000 votes?
Less than that. It wasn't even 12,000.
Minute.
Yeah.
If that would have happened, we would have never had Joe Biden in the White House. You wouldn't have Ketanji Brown Jackson. You wouldn't have all of this nonsense that we're having to deal. You wouldn't have had the illegal immigration invasion. So
and even beyond just that, all the over 1,000 people that spent time in prison and were prosecuted over January 6th. The horrors that those people went through.
Some of them, no courting, no nothing.
Yeah.
They just spent time in jail.
They just spent time in jail in the DC gulag. And that's all around this stolen election that was stolen from the American people.
After 5 years of trying, a citizen investigator has finally uncovered proof at a widespread irregularities in the 2020 election results for Fulton County, Georgia. And he wants accountability. And we're going to get to that, but I want to read this. After obtaining nearly all of the county's election records through an open records request, David Cross discovered that signatures were missing on no less than 134 tabular tapes, representing some 315,000 votes. So for who don't know what the tape is when the machine prints out the tallies of vote at the end of the day. All the election judges have to sign it, either on the front or the back, but you have to sign it. And there's also what we call the zero tape. So before the first ballot is even put into the machine, you run the tape to show that there's no votes tallied. You've got to run 2 copies of that. All the election judges sign it, and you have to tape it up right by the election voting tabulating machines. So that way people can say, yep, 0, I know my vote counted. And for 134 voting tapes, so that's 134 polling places. That's just
it's mind-boggling.
I mean,
and that's just one county.
That's just Fulton County.
And all the swing states stopped counting at the same time.
Yep.
On that night, everyone went to bed. No one was paying attention because Trump was going to run away with it.
Yep.
And I don't care who you are. You cannot tell me that all swing states stopped counting at the same time and all had the same thing happen. Mm-hmm. That's not comprehensible.
It's horrible. And the thing is that they had the new election commissioner there. She was saying, oh, we got new people in. We got new training. That's great. The new people aren't the ones on the hook.
But the other people need to go to jail.
They do. And not like the J6 people. They need to have their day in court. They can get their lawyers and say, why didn't you do this? And
explain themselves for stealing this election from the American people.
I can't in good conscience. And, if one precinct doesn't sign the tape, that's a full-blown investigation. But when you see 134 voting tapes, that right there, as an election judge,
that's conspiracy.
That is, it's got to be coordinated. It just
has to be.
That's just, it's not mathematically possible to have that many unsigned tapes, and it's absolutely horrible. Even besides the missing signatures, Cross found multiple other red flags in the records he reviewed. We found identical protective counters across several different polling places. Polls that were open 8 days late. Polls closed at impossibly late hours, like 2:09 a.m. in the morning.
Wow.
And poll closing times that do not match the tapes. we found we found duplicated scanner serial numbers where the memory devices were removed from one scanner and printed out on an alternate scanner.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, my goodness gracious, that is just it's like I said, it's mathematically impossible.
Yep.
And
This is just Georgia. Imagine Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin,
Wisconsin,
Arizona.
Arizona.
All these people that 2020 was the most secure election we've ever had, because they went from there was no voter fraud. Well, there was voter fraud, but not enough. Like,
Yep.
no crime is committed like that. No one says, well, I mean, he robbed the bank, but he didn't steal that much money. Like, no one talks like that about crime. If there was some voter fraud, I bet there was a lot more that they just don't want to talk about.
Listen to this, brother. To these challenges, Ann Brumbaugh, attorney for the Fulton County Board of Registration and Elections, effectively pleaded no contest. So she's saying like, yep, everything that was here.
Because they don't want that evidence to get out there.
And then she follows up with this. I've not seen the tapes myself, she responded, but we do not dispute that the tapes were not signed. It was a violation of the rule. We don't dispute the allegation from the 2020 election. So they're basically admitting the allegation by saying no contest. And this is where it gets really crazy. When Cross presented his findings to the SEB, even more irregularities came to light. I tried to match it up, the opening and closing tapes together, and I couldn't find it. SEB Vice Chair Janice Johnston said, it's not there. So it's not there. So I go back to the report. And I read the report, and the investigator says we asked for all the opening and closing tapes, and the county reported back, this is all they have, which is woefully incomplete. This is the SEB vice chairman or chairwoman saying that. So, whenever they say woe or woefully, it's bad.
Yeah.
You know that there's a problem there. I just don't understand how one could even provide a Canvas document to say, here are the tabulators and here are the votes, and these add up to X numbers for the election. So if you've got, and this is a private citizen who just did all the work, it's because the people who are at the place either directly conspired to go ahead and commit the fraud, or they knew it, they just didn't want to do anything about it. And it shouldn't have to be a private citizen going and doing all this. But this is why we need people out there like this guy. And it's just unfathomable. And so now you got Trump saying, hey, go back there. And they actually have the phone call recorded.
Yeah.
The Speaker of the House in Georgia, he passed away, but they had his chief of staff there, and he said he couldn't call a special election or a special session because he needed the governor's support too. And the governor there was blocking it, and Trump was like, look at you now.
Yeah.
So wow, it's absolutely crazy. Oh, and then listen to this. To snag the state's 16 electoral votes. Meanwhile, Senator David Perdue, Republican Georgia, fell by 13,000 votes short of an absolute victory over Democrat challenger John Ossoff, leading to a runoff election which Perdue lost.
Yep.
So actually, that's 4 seats that we had stolen from us.
There was 2 Senate races in Georgia that year.
Yep, that was a double. So,
wow.
Of the 520,000 ballots cast in Fulton County, Biden won more than 72%, while Ossoff won 70%. The data uncovered by Cross places an asterisk on the 60% of ballots cast in Fulton County. An error in the Democrats' favor of only 3% would have changed the outcome of the entire election.
Yep.
And people often criticize me for talking about stuff outside of Mississippi, but this is why Mississippi's in a tough way, because I'm not saying we have perfect elections, but we don't have these problems.
Yeah.
And
if you refuse to talk about this, eventually these problems are going to seep into your own state.
Yep. And that's just like Sharia law.
Exactly.
It's a creeping death.
You have to get ahead of these things. Be a leader.
Yep.
Our state lacks that right now.
At the close of the board's discussion on the topic of unsigned tapes, board member Janelle King moved to send a request to the AG's office to issue a fine in the amount of $5,000 per tape. Across 134 tapes, this comes out to a fine of $670,000. that's peanuts compared to
Yeah.
what the election,
Cost.
Yeah, lost President Trump, lost the senator, Purdue, not Will Purdue, but Senator Republican nominee Purdue. So it just I don't want to kick a dead horse, but it's got to be done. It's got to be done. Look, you are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show. I'm here with Blake Bartlam. We will be right back. Oh, yeah. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show. I'm here with Blake Bartlam. and we were talking about the Georgia election. In the next hour, we're going to talk about some audits in Mississippi that are not there. And I think it's important that I just want to put this out there. If you have a government body that's not doing an annual audit, that's immediate cause to go in there and, number one, do an audit, but immediately start holding those boards and those supervisors accountable for that, because
Absolutely.
it's not good. We have family tradition every year. We go to Canton on the square. We go to see the lights, and we did that this past week. But normally we go at night, but we went right around dusk, and it was neat because you couldn't see any of the lights or anything on. And as the sun went down, they started popping on the lights. If you haven't gone to see the Canton lights, you've got to go do it. It is really something that is uniquely Mississippi. It's that old hometown feel. There's this ice cream shop on the square there. Oh my goodness. Salted caramel ice cream with prolings. Can never say that word, but it was so good. It was so good. You sit out there, and they've got benches, so if you have a hard time to go in there, Sweet Bee and Toots, they were going into the shops and just shopping and having a great time. I got to see that, and it was just a great experience. You don't have to. There were police everywhere, so it wasn't like you were worried about anything.
Yeah.
It was really good, and the prices were actually last year or the year before. Prices I thought were a little bit high, but everything was really reasonable, and we just had a great time. What do you have any Christmas traditions or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, Christmas morning we go have brunch at my aunt's house, but my favorite thing every year is at my church we do midnight mass on Christmas Eve, and they end it with the procession going out, all the lights are turned off, and everyone has candles, and then we sing Silent Night.
Wow.
And that's just it gives you chills every time. It's just the most amazing emotional experience. It just really that's Christmas for me.
And what church is that?
St. Stephen's Anglican Church in Flowood, Mississippi. It's close to Hartfield Liberty Baptist and the kidney places over there.
Yeah. We at Life Church, we have a 4:00 service on Christmas Eve, and the kids sing, and it's a great service. We look forward to it every year. And those are just some of the things that, they're trying to take Christ out of Christmas.
Yeah.
And they want to turn it into a economic payday, but it's really not. It's about celebrating the birth of Jesus.
Absolutely.
And if I encourage everybody to just take a minute or two to reflect on why we're actually celebrating Christmas.
Yeah.
And if you do, you're going to end up being a lot happier for it. Let me tell you. I know our family, we love that. And then, when we were growing up, we'd have Christmas lunch. Everybody would come over to my mom's house, and they'd have this big feast. But then after that, if there was snow on the ground, all of us kids would go out to the sledding hill and go sledding for an hour.
We don't get to experience that here.
No, well, we did like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, it was at one time.
Oh my God, that was horrible. That was horrible. We had chickens out there and the sheep, and they were just sitting there going like, "What the heck, Dad? We didn't expect this. We didn't expect this." But those traditions are something that you build up, so that way, you connect with your family, your friends. And if not, you can always go find a church family that I'm sure they'll be happy to adopt you. Look, dude, it's hard to believe, but we are already 1 hour.
Dang.
It goes by so quick.
Fast.
So quick. And a lot of people don't necessarily understand just how quick the time goes. Yeah. And you're just sitting there moving and grooving. But in the next hour, we're going to talk about the audits in those government bodies. We're also going to talk about John Brennan, former CIA chief, who is now complaining that his judge gave some pro-Trump rulings, and they want a venue change. And I'm like, what about the DCJ Sixers? Did they have a chance to do a venue change? No. I think this is something that the Biden administration started, and they're just following the rules.
You know what Clay's slang is?
Yep, yep, yep.
I ain't
You,
got to say it.
you are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show. I'm here with Blake Bartlam. We will be right back. Yes, you are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show, hour number 2 on 103.9 WYAB. And we're streaming on Rumble, and we're streaming on X. We're streaming on YouTube, and we're streaming at WYAB.com. You can follow me on X. It's just Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. And the phone number today, if you want to call in, liberals always get to go to the front of the line. 601-879-0002. And the text line is open at 601-879-5060. And the mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show is standard. We're here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? Y'all are the saints. We're here with Brother Blake Bartlam. Brother, how you doing?
So doing good, man.
All right.
Glad to be on school break. I
Oh,
don't have to go to school for a couple of weeks. So that's nice.
I hear that. What's your X address real quick so people can follow you on X?
At B Bartlam. So capital B and then BARTLAM.
Make sure you give them a follow. And
Appreciate it.
No, pleasure's all mine, man. I'm so grateful and thankful you're going to be here, or that you're here today, and you'll be here next week too.
Probably. So I'll find a day for sure. Absolutely.
Monday or Tuesday, because the other days we're off. So
yeah,
dude, that's awesome. So we got to talk about this article that's coming out of the Mississippi today, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's a left-wing news outlet." Yes, it is, but every once in a while, they get something right, and this is one of the places where I didn't see this covered anywhere else. But incomplete audits make dozens of Mississippi school districts' finances a mystery. A third of Mississippi school districts are behind on submitting completed annual financial audits to the State Department of Education. Let me tell you this, as a recovering politician myself, who not only was responsible for 4 financial audits, but we also had to do a forensic audit because we found the tickets to Disneyland and the women's lingerie all put on the township bill.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, it wasn't prosecuted. But we took pride in our audits. We wanted to make sure we got it done. And the article goes on and it says, without that information, state education officials are in the dark about current finances at 47 of Mississippi's 138 public school districts, including any pending financial emergencies.
Wow.
Dude, I mean, 47 school districts. And, that's just the district. How many schools are in each district?
Not a lot. Like, think about it, like Rankin County
alone.
Like, that's a lot of, like, golly.
Listen to this. Districts received extensions to complete their audits during the COVID-19 pandemic. The deadline reverted back to March during the 2022-2023 school year, and many districts missed it because of the earlier due date and staff shortages at accounting firms. Man, I sure would like an extension because of COVID. I bet you there's a lot of private businesses out there in Mississippi who would like that kind of forgiveness.
Yeah. Could
you imagine if you had to file an audit at a private business and you didn't get it done?
Yeah.
You'd be fired. But in the government, there's nothing we can do there. We just got to continue. It's just a bad situation, State Superintendent Lance Evans told Mississippi Today this week. We have fewer auditing firms that we had, and districts have had. Wow, and districts have to have the same audits done every year, and it's turned into an issue. Something's gotta be addressed, and it means if these school districts don't file an audit, you start fining them. You'll figure it out real quick. The pileup can mask emergencies such as the financial situation in Okolona that led to state takeover last month. In late October, Okolona Municipal Separate School District officials contacted the State Department of Education because the district did not have enough money to meet the November payroll. The Education Department officials also discovered that the district hadn't had a financial audit since 2021. That's 4 years, man. 4 years with no auditing, and had been outspending since fiscal year 2023 and 2024. I'm sitting here as a recovering politician thinking, how do they pay the bills? They just take the money that comes in at the beginning of the tax disbursement and divide it by however many months it is and just go from there. I mean, I was always, I won't say in a panic, but that was like the one thing that I was really, really tight on.
Yeah.
I had a good foreman and one not so good. And I could just say, dude, go make sure this, and this happens. And I could supervise it, but I could really focus on making sure the financials were correct. And, if we don't file a tax return, we get smoked.
Yeah.
They haven't done it in 4 years.
Wow.
So they're getting taken over. And
our education system has a lot of problems, especially on the financial side of it, because Shad White comes out with these all the time where they, the funding that we give to education goes up exponentially, but you don't see that return in the grades. You see it in an increase in the salaries of not teachers, but the admin and the bureaucrats.
Yep, the administration.
Yep.
It always goes up. And some of these superintendents are making 180, 100.
They make more than the governor does.
Oh, absolutely. It's
wild.
It's not right. And this is why, something that I harp on all the time about making sure that we have people on the school board, on our county boards that are really active and involved, because that's your first line of defense right there. Yep, those school administrators need to be held to account, but also the school board needs to be held to account. And if they're not getting the results that they want, then time to vote them out. But these small town elections, sometimes nobody even knows that they're running and doesn't realize how much of your tax money goes there. But it's also, oh, well, Jeannie's my friend, Andy's my friend, Blake's my friend, I'm voting for him. Meanwhile, they're like looking at Andy going, he doesn't have a lick, he doesn't know what's going on.
Exactly.
And so that's really key. The audits in the room did not act like, or the adults in the room did not act like adults. He said, we need to make sure that you're getting your audits done. School districts cannot function without the financial piece. And they always say, oh, it's for the children. And
give me a break.
It's about people, these administrators, making this ridiculous amount of money. And, this is something that's really commonplace. Oh, they actually did put it on here. They have a list here of, I'm going to try to bump this up a little bit. Let's see if there's any. Brookhaven, Canton Public School Districts on there. Lafayette County School Board, Jefferson County School Board. Man, just a bunch of different, Macomb.
Wow.
Just big. Oh, Oxford School District. How does that? Picayune. My goodness. Yeah, there's a lot of them on there. And that just goes to show you, I'd really like to get in to see who's actually on those school boards who are doing that. This is actually a really good piece of journalism. And I'm not saying that I agree with them all the time, but Devna Bose, who wrote this for Mississippi Today, this is a good article. And yep, I know what people are asking, put it on X. So here you go. Yep. People like seeing what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You got to make sure that you're doing that. All right. Next piece of business. This is coming from the Associated Propaganda, or the AP. Ex-CIA Director John Brennan wants favored Trump judge kept away from the Justice Department inquiry. And it's got a picture of John Brennan sitting here. And if you've got to look at this picture. Actually, it is just unbelievable. It is.
He's not the most flattering person.
No, but this picture of him is just classic. I'll try to get it up there, but let's read about it. Lawyers for the former CIA Director John Brennan want the Justice Department to be prevented from steering an investigation of him and other government officials to a favored judge in Florida who dismissed the classified documents case against President Donald Trump. We know that those photos where they had all the top secret, and all those folders lined, that was staged.
That was staged. Yeah.
It was totally staged. And
the discovery in that case was fascinating. Oh my gosh, what's her name? She's always talking with War Room. She's really close to the people at War Room. I forget her name, Julie something, but she's the one that did all like the investigation into the discovery of that case. half, I think it was over half, I think 75% of those documents that were there were documents that the National Archives had sent back to President Trump so that he could get his stuff out of them and
Yep.
then give them back.
Yep. And you look at the whole thing, and it was just a sham, and it should have been dismissed.
Yeah.
It should have
Should have
been.
never been brought in the first place.
And this is just weaponizing the FBI and the DOJ against a former president who was completely vindicated on that.
Absolutely.
The request Monday is addressed to U.S. District Judge Selena at Altaonga. Ooh, that's a good one.
That's a name.
Yeah. The chief judge of the Southern District of Florida, where the prosecutors are pursuing criminal investigation related to to the U.S. government assessment of Russian interference in 2016. Brennan and other former officials have received subpoenas, and Brennan's lawyers say he's been advised by prosecutors that he's the target of an investigation.
As he should be.
Yeah, as he should be. And this is his time to lawyer up and get ready for it because it's coming. And we have to make sure that justice is held for, so that way in the future this doesn't happen to somebody else.
Right. Because if we don't hold these people accountable for all the things they've done, they're just going to feel emboldened to do it again.
Brennan's lawyers say in their letter they are concerned that the Justice Department is engaged in judge shopping and trying to arrange for the investigation to be transferred to a U.S. District Judge, Eileen Cannon, who issued favorable rulings to Trump during their classified documents case and dismissed it last year. Those J6ers in Washington, D.C. didn't have their right to try to change venue.
Nope.
They just denied. And they got ran through, man. They got smoked. So, if this is where the prosecutions are taking place and that judge gets pulled up, well, then that's great. They asked the Chief Justice to exercise her supervisory authority as Chief Judge to ensure that the Justice Department is unable to steer the current Russian-related matter to her. This is really sweet in a way because Judge Eileen Cannon, when she dismissed the case, she said, if anything further comes doing with these documents, it comes back to this court.
Yeah.
And so, this is where it's going to go. That's the ruling.
I remember us talking about this. I can't remember if it was the first time I came on the show or the second time, but we were talking about how one of the main reasons the DOJ raided Trump's house in the first place was because they knew that in those documents they sent back to him was documents related to Crossfire Hurricane. They were looking for those because they knew that if Trump had gotten wind of those, they were in big trouble if he was ever to get back into the White House. And lo and behold, look what we have.
We've got a winner chicken dinner. And, this just goes to show you that when you start playing the game a certain way and you change the rules in the middle of the game, don't be surprised if those same rules ended up being used against you.
Yep.
Never before have even Nixon, who actually really did bad stuff, didn't get this kind of treatment. Trump was investigated but not charged during his first term over whether the campaign conspired with Russia to tip off the outcome of the election. Remember, Russia. They just wouldn't let it go. They kept on hammering it. And I'm glad to see that this is happening. We are going to take our first break of the second hour. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show. I'm joined here by Blake Bartlam. We will be right back. And we are back here at the Andrew Gosser Show. I'm here with Brother Blake. How you? Well, you're doing great, but you're here, man. Hey, we're gonna talk about Mark Kelly, honorably retired United States captain, Navy captain, honorably retired, who went on YouTube and Twitter and everywhere else and decided he was going to he was going to audition to become the main character of the story when he decided to tell everybody.
It's gonna be the main character of an indictment.
Well, that's what we're talking about because the Pentagon has fully escalated this to a investigation, and the thing is, people don't understand this. I got like 6 or 7 texts about this over the weekend.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm talking about it now. I have rules. I cannot say certain things because I'm an honorably retired captain. So Air Force captain. Want to just make sure it's not the same thing as a Navy captain. Big difference, right? So I have rules that I have to follow, and basically do have my constitutional rights, but I also fall under the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know who is advising Mark Kelly, but he probably could have came out and said, you know what, I shouldn't have done this. I was wrong. And people are going, what about those other people who were active duty? They didn't retire. That's the hook.
Yeah.
And they're recalling him to active duty. And I'm just sitting here thinking, man, I hope he gets his ribbons right, his medals right. Got to put them in order, right? But they're recalling him, and there's some GOP senators who are uneasy about it. But it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that his video and his words carry so much weight.
Yeah.
As an honorably retired airport or Navy captain,
Mhm.
and by the way, he's an F-14 guy.
Yeah.
I used to walk by his jet all the time when he was fighter wing commander over there at NAS Oceana.
And we were talking about this earlier. Is like if you don't hold these people accountable, there's going to be people that do more of what he did.
Absolutely.
So you have to get out in front of this stuff. That's how you stop the problem.
I haven't talked to Colonel Manis specifically about this, but I know that we've had discussions in the past with other military officers. You can get as political as you want. I can get as political as I want. But the moment I cross the line and I start undermining the commands and orders of the President of the United States, if I start undermining morale, good order, and discipline inside the U.S. Armed Forces, well, now I'm going to be recalled to active duty to answer for. And you know what? I can't fit my dress blues anymore. That's not going to be good. So I want to make sure that people understand that just because you're out there and you're a U.S. senator, you can't undermine morale like that.
Yeah.
He's free to go ahead and criticize certain things. He can talk about how he doesn't like the actions that are being taken in the Pacific and the Gulf of America, but you can't just say what he said in that manner. And he's in trouble.
Yeah. As he should be.
And man, he's not taking the advice of his attorneys, or his attorneys are giving him bad stuff. Last thing here is I did get a text, and I'm paraphrasing it, but he's like, I think what Mark Kelly's doing is a great thing. He has every First Amendment right under the Constitution of the United States. And I told him he needed to go join Mark Kelly's legal team as a sea lawyer, and let's see where that gets him.
And you're right, though. You mean UCMJ. Like there are certain standards you have to uphold and adhere to whenever you retire as active duty.
And it's not like you're going to get charged with unauthorized absence or anything like that.
Yeah.
What they're going to get you is Article 134, which is basically a catch-all.
Yeah.
And but there's very specific rules that when we're on active duty. The other big thing is they want to say make sure that you don't follow unlawful orders. An unlawful order has to be blatantly obvious. So go take a second strike on that boat. There's nothing wrong with that. Go mow down all those civilians in that village over there. That is inherently a unlawful order, and I'm required to say don't do that. But you can't sit there and like the legal people want we used to call them the legal beagles, but you can't have them over every situation. That's why you have battlefield commanders. That's why you have strike group commander. That's why
Yeah.
you've got the carrier air group commander, the CAG. You've got all these people in place who all have JAGs on there, by the way, judge advocate generals, aka military lawyers, who are advising them that, hey, this is going to be legal. This is not legal, sir. You should not do this. And most people will take the advice of their attorneys very seriously.
Absolutely.
And they had a 3-star Navy admiral go testify before the Senate. And this guy is a 3-star Navy SEAL. And he's in charge of that whole operation down there. And he was just like, nope, I have my lawyers there. The JAGs were there. We followed all the rules of engagement. This was a completely legal strike. And of course, sometimes senators care more about what they look like publicly than
Yeah.
actually following the law. But I just wanted to touch on Mark Kelly doing that.
Absolutely.
And then with that, I don't know, but as soon as Vice President J.D. Vance got done at AmFest, you know where he went?
He went to go train with the SEALs in California.
My goodness, I see him underneath that log, and I'm just like, nope, not for me. Nope, not for me. That is not a fun day. I can promise you that. But good on Vice President J.D. Vance. Not only did he take the high road at AmFest, but he's out there moving and grooving. I think he's taking a page out of Pete Hegseth's book,
Yeah.
where he's out there doing
Absolutely.
stuff. And
That's what you love to see.
he's there with and he's a Marine.
Yeah.
So he's not against doing some physical PT, climbing the rope, dude, out there in the boat doing surf passage. Oh my goodness, run on the beach. And they've got some instructors out there running with them, which is, I think, pretty cool. And I was just sitting there thinking, man, if we had a vice president, you got JD Vance on one hand, Kamala Harris on the other.
Oh my goodness.
Ladies and gentlemen, we dodged a real bullet.
Dodged a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it. I mean, man, could you imagine Kamala Harris?
I don't like to think about it because one of our biggest criticisms of her was like, she didn't do anything, and then the things that she was tasked with, she failed, like Ukraine, the border.
Yep.
But I mean, anytime you have a high stakes meeting with whether I think it was Zelensky or whatever, and Vance was in the room,
Yep.
Vance could take control of the room.
Yep.
And he did it a couple times in that meeting with Zelensky. Kamala Harris would never have been able to do that. She couldn't formulate a sentence.
Her word salads were absolutely diabolical.
They were horrible.
My goodness, I
Be
actually
unburdened by what has been
and what it will become. Oh my goodness.
Goodness gracious. Go back to Pinterest.
Yeah. Oh my, talk about a dying platform.
Yeah.
Hey, you are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9. We're going to take our next commercial break. We will be right back. Oh, yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We're going to start with something a little bit different. Do you remember, have you heard any of my uh, announcements on the silver and the price of silver?
Yeah, I seen it. What you tell me this morning? It was up what $40
Yep.
over the last year.
Yep.
That's crazy.
And we thought last week we might hit 70. Brother Rick just texted me and we're at $71 now for 1 ounce of
Goodness
silver.
gracious.
Yeah, that's a pretty good investment. I'm not telling you to buy silver. I'm telling you to buy silver. It's the choice is yours. I'm just putting it out there that we've been following this and tracking this,
Yeah,
and
it's kind of wild.
it is incredibly wild. You know what else is wild? Have you seen that supposed Epstein suicide video that's been floating around?
I haven't seen that one actually.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying this because the Department of Justice just dropped another 30,000
Mm-hmm.
pages of Epstein files, and they
Yeah.
put this video in there. But there's only one problem with the video. It's a deep AI generated deep fake.
Really?
Yeah.
And it's in the.
Yep. Because they had to
Wow.
identify it. And this is coming from the New York Post. DOJ releases shocking fake video of Jeffrey Epstein's suicide as part of the file dump. The DOJ on Monday released a shocking footage that appeared to be a recreation of Jeffrey Epstein's suicide in his Manhattan jail cell and briefly set the internet on fire until it was revealed to be fake. The video was posted without explanation to the Department of Justice website as part of the Epstein file dump. With the footage just the latest item among a trove of documents and images to be revealed after the complete hoard, the complete man, that's a horrible sentence. I'm going to change this a little bit. And the images to revealed after the complete dump was ordered and released back in November. The grainy 12-second computer-generated clip shows a white-haired man in an orange jumpsuit struggling and jerking his head about while kneeling at the base of his bunk cell, or at the base of his bunk in his jail cell. So it's everybody kind of talked about there's going to be a point where you can't trust the videos anymore.
Yeah.
And this is it. And when you see something sensationalized like this, I'm really skeptical. I mean, if you look at the it's really grainy and it almost looks like it's believable, but it's a deep fake. And it's even got the timestamp on there and everything. It's just
That's wild.
unbelievable. So the DOJ is not saying it's real or fake, but they had it in their file dump, and everybody was just freaking out over it. So that is definitely something that we're gonna have to continue to watch.
Yeah.
The Brown University campus police with the mass shooter there, they just put their chief of police on leave.
Should have fired him
indefinitely while they're being investigated. They've hired somebody else in, and the Brown University mass shooting is a perfect example of how not to react to a situation like that. And the thing is I don't understand why the Department of Justice and the FBI isn't involved with that, and because they can take over a case. They can just go in and do that, but they haven't. And that might be something for me to ask Chris Hinkle later, because he
knows all the FBI.
He's honorably retired FBI field agent, and also I think he did 12 years in the Air Force as an officer,
something like that.
OSI agent. He really knows that stuff, and I always try to defer to him when it comes to stuff like this, because it's easy to sit here at the WYAB studios and just chillax and lob snowballs and grenades, but I don't like doing that. I don't really want to do that. I want to be accurate as possible. Just quoting here, they hired a guy named Mr. Clements, and his role entails overseeing the day-to-day operations of the Department of Public Safety. This includes continued implementation of the university's rapid response enhanced safety measures. My thing is how could that been prevented? This guy apparently shot a Massachusetts MIT professor last year.
Yeah.
And then he does this. Why is
How was he still out?
Yeah, there's just so many weird questions going on here, and the fact that he ended up targeting, one of the few Republicans at Brown University is just tragic, absolutely tragic. As people know, the senior or the junior senator from Wyoming is retiring,
Mm-hmm.
and so now Harriet Hagman, who replaced Liz Cheney,
Yes, she did.
uh,
Destroyed her.
that was a whooping. I don't think I've ever seen. I mean,
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
that's top 5 of all time.
Mm-hmm.
But she's going to be running for Senate now, which
Yeah.
is really good because
She's good.
I think she'll be a good representation there for the state of Wyoming, and
Yeah.
definitely on President Trump's side.
I know a lot of good people out there in Wyoming and Montana.
Yep.
A lot of the rhino removal project people are out there in Montana.
Yep.
And in that region. A lot of good people out there.
Here's another story. So I was stationed at Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma. So that's where I really found college football was in Oklahoma.
Mhm.
So I like the Sooners. But Oklahoma removes instructor who gave failing grade to a college student essay and sparked conservative outrage.
I saw that.
It's really crazy because I'm going to call him he because he is a guy who transitioned to a woman.
These people.
It comes after Samantha Volnecki, a junior at the university, reported her psychology instructor, Mel Kurth, after receiving a grade that claimed that she received 0 points out of 25 for my beliefs in using freedom of speech, and especially for my religious beliefs. Basically, this guy said that you couldn't use the Bible as a source. I mean, if you just go back and read the book of Daniel, it's completely backed up by history.
Yeah.
Like if you, it's definitely a historical record. It's been completely influencing the Western civilization.
Yeah.
Whether it's either here or over in Europe or anywhere where they call it the quote unquote West.
Yeah.
It's been really huge, and good for Oklahoma for doing that. She will not get a new grade, but they're not going to use that against her either.
Good.
So
Good.
that's kind of just goes to show you, even if you think it's a conservative school or university, college, it's infiltrated everywhere. And if we don't stand up to these little bullies, then we're going to end up losing our freedom of speech and freedom of religion. And people are like, Andy, you just said that you just said freedom of religion. There is no separation of church and state. Remember, that's not
Yep.
anywhere in the Constitution. That's a
It's an idea.
bad Supreme Court ruling. And the Supreme Court always has a chance to overturn one of their rulings, just like they did with Roe v. Wade and the Dobbs decision. So that's going to be something really big to continue to follow. Let's see, what else do we got here? You know, we talked about AmFest and like the speakers and everything, but do you know who this Myron Gaines is?
I know of him.
Mm-hmm.
He's a groiper, if you know what that term is, like the Nick Fuentes.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
He's very similar to them. He says a lot of hyperbolic stuff. That's honestly, in my opinion, just clip farming. That's all they want is to give views out of that. He's a decent debater, but his ideas are not ideas that I think we should. They're the extremes of our ideas.
Well, they're saying that he wasn't welcome at AmFest or in the Republican Party, so he stood outside and just did his own one-man protest. And I don't want to really give it any more than that.
Yeah.
Last story here before we go to the break. And this is coming from the Brussels Signal.
Oh, wow.
The EU could be gone in 4 years. A revolutionary eruption is coming. And it's showing the people at Brussels. In 1988, if you had told anyone that the Soviet Union would cease to exist 4 years later, you would have dismissed it as a crank. The institutions looked solid, the bureaucracy entrenched, the power was absolute. Yet in 1992, it was history. And that's true, because when the wall came down, people were just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And it fell quick. Today, European politicians in Brussels, Berlin, and Paris suffer from the same dangerous optimism. Isn't that funny? Dangerous optimism. Nationalism is not dangerous. It's what gives you your identity, your culture.
Yep.
You need to make sure that we keep on it. They believe that they are so safely ensconced in their institutional frameworks that the public anger can never truly throw them out of the saddle. But looking at the trajectory of the European Union, I believe we are closer to a revolutionary moment than the elites dare to imagine.
Europe is in a very weird place right now because you have essentially you have Italy, you have Hungary, and you have Poland.
Mm-hmm.
Those are your big three countries that are not the most diverse,
Mm-hmm.
right wing led, and they're all safe.
Mm-hmm.
They're all prosperous, and they don't have mass migration.
Italy does.
Italy has a little bit,
yeah.
but they're better than places like France and England and
Absolutely.
Germany and Spain, even to an extent. So you have those are your conservative countries then, but France and England and some of Spain have just been completely overrun
Yep.
by honest. I'm just gonna be honest, Muslims.
Yep.
And Sharia law and what Muslims do to countries is horrendous. And the EU is probably going to split over it. But the one thing we have to make sure, because that's across the pond,
Yep.
not necessarily our problem, we cannot let the same thing happen to America.
Look at what's happening in Minnesota.
Yep.
What's happening in New York.
How much fraud that was in Minnesota that was bigger than the entire economy of Somalia.
Dude, that is so insane.
That's insane to think about.
They're saying $19 billion.
That's crazy.
Was, and it's still growing. 80 people have been indicted now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how many have actually been convicted already. But the Somali...
Tim Walz needs to be indicted over it.
Yeah, Tim Walz. Well, he's in trouble. We had the chairman of the Carver County GOP, Minnesota, on for 45 minutes last week. And she was talking about, even though Minnesota's to the left, even the people on the left are saying, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Because that creep is starting to go into their neighborhoods.
Exactly.
Now.
Yeah.
And they're a bunch of NIMBYs.
Just like whenever they went to Martha's Vineyard.
Yep. They sat there and gave them water and put them on a jet out of there. Hey, thanks for coming. Bye. See ya. We often hear comparisons to the 1930s to Munich in 1938, but this is the wrong history book. If you want to understand Europe's current predicament, look instead to France in 1788 or Russia in 1917. And you talked on a really important point. Poland and Hungary, and to a lesser extent Italy, are really rocking and rolling. And they've passed really serious anti-immigration laws. And Poland has someone who's like, look, if you're a Muslim, you're not compatible with the Polish way of life. You're out of here. And I think that's the model that
if you don't have assimilation, you don't have a nation.
Yep. Because, and that's not to say like the Italians, the Irish who came over here, they still had kept their heritage in that, but they were Americans now. And they
didn't force us to speak Italian.
Nope. And that's definitely something that is going to be a problem. England. Did you see how they had the Christmas carols in London?
Yeah.
And the mayor of London said
they have to. Yeah.
He's a Christophobe, man. They always talk you're Islamophobia, and it wasn't that at all. And he actually came out and was trying to stop it, but Tommy Robertson over there had it, and they had this 8-year-old girl up there just preaching away. It was actually, I was like, wow, I need to sit back and take some notes. The girl got a voice, and she knows the word, which is really cool. Hey, we're going to take our last commercial break. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show. We will be right back. And we are back here at the Andrew Gosser Show. No, I will not let you down. And Blake, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me on again, man. You have given me such a platform, and I greatly appreciate it. 100%.
Anytime, man. And you can find Blake on X at capital B Bartlum, BARTLUM AM, capital B BARTLAM. So you can find him there on X. And look, I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you to all the listeners out there, whether on the stream or listening over the radio. I sincerely appreciate it. And I want to take this moment in time to wish each and every one of you a very Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yep. It's awesome time of the year. And just remember that Jesus is the reason for the season.
Amen.
And we've got to make sure that we keep Christ in Christmas, because just like they were over there in London, England, trying to get rid of the Christmas carols in the gathering there.
Not only keep Christ in Christmas, keep Christ in your lives. I think that we as humans get so consumed with life and, the bills and finances and, jobs and everything. The real fulfillment in your life comes in finding the purpose that Jesus Christ has instilled in you. Whenever that is your primary focus, everything else falls into place, because God can take care of you better than anybody else can.
Preach, man, preach. That's
what I want to leave with in that message off.
Dude, I sure do appreciate it. And I also want to give a shout out to a very special lady in my life, the Sweet Bee. She's awesome. And Proverbs 31:10 says, "An excellent wife who can find? She is far more precious than jewels." And that's the Sweet Bee. Yesterday, I was at the doctor's in the hospital, and it was just a long, painful day. It was horrible, man. And it was just miserable. I got home, and I couldn't sleep all night. My neck was cranked up, and it was just bad, bad, bad. And she was up with me all night, taking care of me. And I just want to say thank you, Sweet Bee. I'm looking forward to spending all this time off with you this week. It's going to be great. So, babe, I love you. Can't wait to go home and see you. And until we talk again, everybody, I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas. Take care and be blessed.
Merry Christmas.
There she blows.